Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you don't know, I'm Timah. Alright, so what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be about mucilage and anthocyanins. I know, what the heck is that? Basically, it's going to be seaweed and fruit. And it's going to be a particular fruit that I'm going to be talking about. So I'm going to show you about this drink that's going to be very beneficial. At least I think it's very beneficial because it's very beneficial to me. And although we are not all the same people or the same type of people or beings, it can definitely be beneficial to you. So that's what I'm going to share it for you. I have this drink. This drink here is it's really just mucilage. This mucilage comes off of my seaweed. Now, mucilage comes from any seaweed. I haven't met a seaweed yet that I can't get mucilage from. And I use a lot of seaweed. I started using and studying seaweed from back in about 2010, 2011, and I just continued it on. So I have a few different types of seaweed here. So this is the bladderwrack. This is your kelp, the kombu. This one is your sea moss, better known as Conjus crispus. And unfortunately, I don't have any more of the gracilaria to show you that looks like the rhizomes. And this is the wakame. Now, not only does these seaweeds produce a mucilage, there's varying amounts of mucilage that each one will get. So like with your wakame, you won't get so much mucilage from that one, but from this bladderwrack and from the Conjus crispus, you're gonna get so much from those. Now, what this mucilage is actually good for, it's a really great way to keep yourself hydrated, to keep your organs hydrated, especially like for hot days, or if maybe like you're sitting around a computer for so long, because computers, they draw out a lot of moisture in the air because how they heat up. So you use the mucilage from the seaweed to put the moisture back inside of your body. Then also like down your throat, the back of your throat, the mucilage from the seaweed actually helps to protect the back of your throat and keeps you from getting colds and flus and things like that. It's not just the seaweeds. It's various types of herbs as well, and these are what's called demulcents. So this is where your lamb's ear comes into play, which is also known as mullein. This is where your comfrey comes in, your coat's foot, including your burdock. Even your okra will do this. All of these plants are what's called demulcents, and what demulcents do, they provide a protective barrier on your irritated or inflamed tissue. Okay, so and then your burdock also takes it another step because it's also a very good blood purifier, and when it's combined with other herbs, it also heightens the effect of that herb that you blended it with. These are just some of the herbs that I use for my healing of fibroids and that I continue to use. All of these herbs produce this very essential mucilage. There's also a product that I use. It's called Eject tea, and this Eject tea, it has a combination of these herbs inside of it. You just have to prepare these herbs in a specific type of way. You can't just make it like a regular tea. They actually have to sit and steep for many hours. But they all produce this mucilage. So this mucilage that comes from your seaweed, this is your soluble dietary fiber. So this is really good for those of us that's eating plant-based diets. so we get that type of fiber. So you don't actually have to eat the entire plant. You just need to get the mucilage off of it. And like I said, I make a drink out of that. And the way that you would do that is just take any type of your seaweed or multiple types of seaweed, and you would place it inside of a container like I have here. So it's some warm water, warm to hot water. You would place it inside of it and you would let it sit. Within sitting for maybe about 10 minutes, you'll already notice that there's a lot of mucilage coming off of your seaweed inside of your water, and so turning your water into a fluid, a liquid almost resembling an embryonic fluid, because it's going to have all of those minerals right inside of it. Now, as far as the anthocyanins, the anthocyanins are what's going to come from the fruit that we're going to use. Now, anthocyanins, that's the pigment that's going to be on the fruit. So like this is a muscadine. This is a red muscadine. So the pigment that's on this muscadine, that's what's called the anthocyanin. So just like within the plant family, so the anthocyanins, they can range from like a red all the way up to like a dark blue-black. Just like within the human family of melanin, we can go from what's called the red man all the way up to what's called the blue-black man, and then I will fall somewhere inside of the middle with my melanin. So the pH level of the anthocyanin just depends on the darkness of the fruit. So the darker it is, the higher the pH level. So where I'm going to be using the red muscadines, this red muscadine would be somewhere like a 7.5, and then you go all the way up to like the skin of a blueberry. That would be like a 8.5, and then now it would also, the higher you go on the scale of pH, the colors can also start to change. So you can go into what's called yellow for a pH level, and that would be a very high pH level for alkalinity. So all of this is what I'm talking about is alkalinity. And so that yellow color of alkalinity would be ammonia, and this would be a good segue into mushrooms, because mushrooms have a great amount of ammonia inside of them, which is why I always tell you to eat some type of seaweed when you're going to have your mushrooms, because the mucilage, the fiber that's inside of the seaweed will actually help to wash the ammonia out of your body instead of allowing it to build up. So the benefit of the anthocyanins inside of our body is because the anthocyanins that's on the skin of various type of fruit, as well as inside of herbs, will actually help to support the sugar intake, and it's called the micropolysaccharides, which are actually throughout our body is sugar. So the anthocyanins, they support the mucopolysaccharides, which are sugars that's throughout our body. So it's mostly within the fluid and the mucus that surround our joints, and it gives the connective tissue like within our knees and our elbows and our fingers, that structural integrity. So if I was to squeeze out the pulp, you will see the pulp doesn't have it. It's just going to be the skin. But if you were to bruise some fruits that just have it on the skin, it would actually go throughout the membrane of that entire fruit, or maybe even the vegetable. I'm going to take a few pieces of my already cleaned sea moss and just put it inside of my jar. And then we're going to take some hot water and pour over it. put a few more pieces inside of it. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna put in just one piece of the bladderwrack as well. And again, remember, all of my seaweed is already cleaned off, and then I dehydrate them again so that I can store it for as long as I need to have it stored and then go back to use it. Alright, so I'm gonna let this sit inside of the water for at least a good 10-15 minutes, just to let that rehydrate inside of the water, and it's gonna pull off a lot of the mucilage from the seaweed. So I have a good cup of muscadine. I'll just use the glass jar so you guys can see this. So with the mucilage that I have made up here, so I'm just going to take some of this, and really what I want is for it to go in here. There we go. And I'll measure this out instead of just pouring it. And so as I pour it, I just want you to see how thick this is. Look at this. See how thick that is? Look. That is really thick stuff, okay? Alright, so I'm going to put in about a cup. There we go. Ooh, yeah. Now, I'm not going to put any type of sweetener or anything inside of this. We're just going to let the muscadine do its job. So we just want the benefits just from the muscadine and the mucilage. So I'm going to get my blender. Where's my here we go. Now I'm going to use our strainer, because these muscadines, they have seeds inside of it. And then we're also going to strain out the skins. And just in case, I'll use a little whisk to help it out. So let's get that poured down. And you see the thickness of that? That look yummy. And then here we have the skin and the seeds right there. See that beautiful red? Now that, you don't throw that away, because you can use that and you can turn it into a powder. So you just dry it out and turn it into a powder. And I'll show you a powder that I've made with a lot of muscadine as well as red grapes. This is a powder that I made with my red grapes, with my muscadines. I put a label on here with some of all of the fruits that I use. So I use red grapes, I use some strawberries, I use blueberries, mulberries, I use red currants. I even use some kale. I use some ginger, and that's to give me just a little bit of quercetin. So, and then also the Conjus crispus, the seaweed. So, and I label this my resveratrol. And this is also the buildup within like red wines. So you'll see that beautiful red color inside of the red wines. That's those anthocyanins that's doing that, and you get all those benefits, and you get a lot of iron from that. You get a lot of vitamin C, magnesium. So you can get all of that right down inside of this drink. And within these skins, that's going to be turned into a powder to take in. So let's get that all off of there. There we go. So now this will be just a drink right here. Some of the seeds went through, so I don't want to drink that. And there you go. Bottoms up. Now that's great. Sorry y'all, this is just so good. Like, this is just so good. So, back from my feet. So I'm gonna ground up seed in my mouth. So look, you don't have to make a thick gel with any of your seaweeds. All you need to do is just soak your seaweed inside of some warm water, let it sit so that you can get the mucilage off of it, because inside of that mucilage you're gonna have all of those minerals coming off of your various seaweeds that you'll be using. The number one seaweed that I've been seeing everyone using are the sea mosses, and you want to turn those into gel. Unless you're making something specific out of the gel, then you shouldn't even be concerned with making a gel. Just, excuse me. All you really need to be concerned with is getting the mucilage from that and getting it inside of yourself, because that's what's gonna help you to coax down your dried out lungs. It helps out with your respiratory system. It helps out with your digestive system. Now, if you're just really new to eating seaweeds and using the mucilage off of it, it can cause maybe a little bit of bloating for you, but that can typically go away within a few days or so. Okay, and then also you want to keep in mind, excuse me, see, let's close these down. Okay, let's go. You also want to keep in mind that all seaweeds, especially these here, they are pretty high in iodine. So if you have any sensitivities to iodine, then you might want to consult with, well, you should consult with your practicing physician before messing with any type of seaweed, because it all has iodine in it, some more than other. And you also may notice that when you're taking in mucilage from any of these seaweeds, you might even get a little bit of acne breakout. That's because of the high iodine inside of these products. Okay, so now those are just some benefits that I want to go over for you in regards to getting the mucilage out of your seaweed and turning it into a drink, and using the anthocyanins from your fruit, from the skins of your fruit to benefit your body. Because as the days go on, it's really the earth is really just going to be heating up as we are going into this new age of Aquarius. And then with all of the technology that's coming out, as far as, you know, the 5G. So with that coming out, it's going to be a much higher processing speed. So you're going to have more computers that's going to be coming out that can handle it. You're going to have cell phones that's going to be coming out that can handle those faster speeds. So, and with more technology becomes the more drying of our skin, our mucous membrane, our nose, all right, our eyes, all right. So there's going to be less moisture in the air, and then coupled off with the planet that's going to be heating up, we're going to need to continue to keep ourselves moisturized. And we don't always want to just use all these lotions that's on the market, because you don't know what's on the market. So if you watch my other video in regards to the 6 ways that I use sea moss or seaweeds, then those are some really great tips. Definitely use that going forward. But yeah, so I think that's all I really want to go over in regards to getting the mucilage and getting the benefit of the mucilage from your various seaweeds, and then using the benefits of the anthocyanins from your various fruits, in particular from the muscadine. You can also do this with the I do this with the red grapes, the black grapes as well. So I may have some other videos coming up in regards to how I use the muscadine. I think I am. I think maybe. But until then, I'll say ciao for now. And I'm gonna drink this up and make me some more. Toodles.